Hi everyone, welcome to another Energetic Arts live stream. My name's Brett Anderson. Today with me we have Paulina, Reyes, Avalos. And tonight, depending on where you are in the world, we're going to be talking about the touchy topic of shadow work. So, Paulina, I'm going to ask you what is shadow work to you, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and thanks, Brett, for having me tonight.
Pleasure.
It's an honor. Okay, well, let's start with what exactly is shadow work, because I think most people think that is something devil or something like to be afraid of, and we have this ingrained idea that is something really, really heavy, dark, and kind of from a demonic space, which is really, really not. So, what is exactly shadow? A shadow, it's all of our, well, according to my definition, is all these bits and pieces that we have been rejected, hidden away, buried deep down within our unconscious mind or unconscious self. Or everything, every bit, or every thought, every expression, everything that our mind took as a traumatic experience. Let's say, since you were a kid, a classmate bullied you, or a parent was a bit tough on you, or anything that you stored and you kind of took it really personal, and that those kind of stuff goes very deep, either in your mind, in your unconscious mind, basically, and then they get stored and they get big, and if they normally get triggered by emotions that were caused on the first place. And I don't know if I'm clear with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so from what I'm hearing is that sometime in your life there may have been some kind of event. It could have been a traumatic event. It gets recorded in the subconscious somewhere. Maybe you're not even aware of it. And then you go about your life and you run into situations, people, places, times, events that trigger that emotion, that feeling, that thought. And then all of a sudden you're responding to it, and maybe you don't know why, and it's leading you down the rabbit hole. And you're like, what's happening? Is that kind of the thing? Yeah.
Exactly. And even small things like such those, or trauma with capital T, being abused, being near of having a near-death experience, you name it. So yeah.
Yeah. So from what I understand of shadow work, it's like excavating the unconscious. It's going into the unconscious willingly, consciously, with as much awareness as you can, and start to clean up all of those programs that sort of drive you without you even knowing about them.
Exactly.
It's funny that you said at the beginning, like people think it's demonic, like it's on that side of things, because if you were talking computer programming, a daemon, a D-A-E-M-E-M, demon, is a program that runs in the background that takes up processing power. And so if that's running, it can't do other things. So I think it's really
keep
interesting,
saying, yeah.
the topic of shadow work. Yeah, it's. I think it's like the real heavy lifters in spirituality love shadow work. They love it and hate it at the same time.
Yes, it's a
because
love-hate relationship.
we love
Yeah.
it because we get so much growth out of it, but we hate it because it's uncomfortable. It's like the gym.
Yeah,
You get good results, but it's not comfortable, the process.
and there's where most people get stuck in their lives because they want fast results. They want to focus only on the
Yep.
positive, positive thinking, affirmations, meditation. But if you really don't do the heavy lifting, the digging first, the
Digging.
the awareness, the becoming that those bits of darkness, those things that were forgotten for so long, you can't heal. You definitely can't heal.
Yeah. It needs to be cleared away. And it's funny because if you've done any type of practice like meditation or affirmations or positive thinking, you'll know that you get to a point where you hit kind of a ceiling, or it feels like there's a rubber band on your back pulling you back into your old self. And that's when the shadow work comes in for me, that's when you turn around and go, well, what is this that's holding me down? What is this that keeps drawing me back? Why is it that no matter how much effort I put in to go forward, as soon as I relax and, I become exhausted because I can't keep it up anymore, I get snapped back to my old self. That's when the shadow work comes in. And I feel like if you're doing a lot of meditation, a lot of that, when you're raising your energy, a lot of that darker stuff, that old energy, the lower frequency is going to come to the surface, and it's basically begging you to work with it and to process it and to clear it out so you can move on and move into your future and let go of your past.
Exactly. And
what do you think, Paulina?
Yeah, and there are some meditations, hypnotic meditations, that can help you go down the rabbit hole and find all the starting pieces, the bits here and there, and as I always say, we are an onion. We are layer after layer after layer. So maybe we can heal one and then another appears. But as you get used to do shadow work and as you get used to work with yourself, things are getting easier. So maybe at first it's for some can be a hell of an experience, and there's where most of people don't want to go. And but as you get through that, it gets better, and obviously you get to a higher frequency.
Yeah, the appropriate word being get through it. They say when you're in hell, don't stop, keep going, go through and out the other end. Because it can be like that. It's this inside out process, where when you start to stir up the deeper layers of that onion, it starts to manifest in your environment. And it's not manifesting to punish you, it's manifesting to show you what's running under the surface.
Exactly.
And it's interesting that the more work you do on yourself, the more meditation and more aware you become, the higher your frequency becomes, is that the less tolerant you become to your old programming. You almost can't stand your old self.
Yes,
God, was that me? I can't believe that was me.
Or when
and so, then you let go of the judgments.
Or when you you feel it when another episode is coming. You just feel it, and like, oh my god, what's coming next, and what now? And things start to show up. A project doesn't work the way you want it, or you get issues with your family, or your cat or your dog does something, and you get furiously triggered. And that's when you have to catch yourself. And yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. I remember years ago getting into this for the first. Shadow work was a huge topic for me and a friend of mine. He was kind of like my spiritual practice training buddy, and he listened to a lot of Eckhart Tolle, and the pain body. He was right into studying the pain body and shadow work, and we discovered that while practicing this and observing each other, keeping an eye on each other, kind of like diving buddies. I remember being wrapped up, so lathered up in anger one day, and he just came along and sort of poked at the core of this particular program, and it just popped. I was like, oh, wow, that's where it came from. That's why I've been doing it this way. And it was it was almost ridiculous. It wasn't even a big deal, but there was so much wrapped around it and built upon that tiny little event. You'd think the way I was behaving, you'd think it was some terrible trauma, but it wasn't even. It was just a misunderstanding of a moment, a wrong framing, putting the wrong meaning and association around the event. A child's mind rather than an adult's mind looking at the event. And he said to me, when you can catch yourself at the peak of that emotional outburst, like right at the spike on the graph, looking at the graph like the Schumann resonance, if you can catch it at the peak, it's like the whole thing just collapses down and you're left with a clean slate.
Crumbles down, yeah.
And that, when you get to that stage, that's when you can build cathedrals in place of those, hovels, let's say. So that's what I love about shadow work. I mean, what do you think, Paulina? What's the why should people want to do it?
Well, and my personal experience, if you really want to thrive, if you really want to be your authentic self, you have to do shadow work. Otherwise, you will get the same results, the same life, the same outcomes. Maybe a bit of a hint here and there of what you can become, but not a big change after all.
Yeah, you won't get that big breakthrough you're looking for if you don't
Exactly.
get in and delve into it, I think.
Let's say, well, I speak a lot with metaphors and films and series, and let's say, like, you have to take the training as Luke Skywalker when he goes to Dagobah to be trained by Yoda and cave and face a Darth Vader, and when he smashed the sword and knows that the mask develops and showing him, and so it's basically that kind of work that you have to do.
Yeah, I love that metaphor, that illustration, and it was done again with Rey later in the Last Jedi, I think it was. They did the similar thing, reformed it, but and this is the thing. I'm glad we're here now. I didn't expect us to get here so quickly in the conversation, but it's like shadow work is really, for me anyway, it's going in and facing the worst, nastiest, most manipulative, deceptive, violent side of yourself and going, okay, that's there. You know, I have that in me, and I'm going to acknowledge that it's there. I may not act on it. Hopefully I don't act on it and become destructive, but I have to at least accept that it's in me. It's a potential in me, you know, and then decide, all right, now that it's there, am I going to become the hero in my story, or am I going to choose to be the villain? And, you know, it's a very powerful and slippery slope. It's a very powerful time. It's a slippery slope, and it's a very seductive time to go, well, you know, I could just become evil here. I could become really evil and just, you know, screw over the world and take over the world with what I know now. And I think it's part of the course. You know, when you start to develop spiritually, you start to get new abilities, you start to get new insight, your scale of the world starts to increase, your view you start to see things that weren't, you know, obvious to you before. And then what the other part is, you also see that a lot of other people don't see it. And so if you wanted to, like a martial artist learning how to become dangerous, you know, if you wanted to, you could go around standing people over for their wallets, you know, and you could make your living like that. But is it really the wise thing to do, or is it long term? Is that a good way to be? I don't think so, me personally. But you have to overcome that. You have to face that in yourself, I think.
Yeah, or like Yoda says, like sadness leads to hate, hate leads to, I forgot the order, but you know, and every
it's all in
dark
our subconscious, that
emotion
one.
leave you to the dark side, and you have to choose whether you be a Jedi or a dark Sidious,
A Sith.
a Sith. And also talking about talking about spirituality, you can't be all rainbows, unicorns, and sparkles if you don't do the dark shadow. If you don't face your own, let's say in my case, there was a lot of pain, like sorrow, sadness. And when you face that kind of stuff, well, it's terrifying. It's not an easy thing to do. You have to fit again. But once you it's not going back, because also I've seen a lot of spiritual people or coaches saying that no, you shouldn't go back to those traumatic episodes. But I say different. You don't go there to stay there. You have to go there to find what it is that caused that pain or that anger or that misunderstanding or whatever, and from there getting healed. Like the only way that the light can enter, it's through the cracks.
Yeah, it's a good point you make there. You don't go there to relive it in the first person as a memory. Like if we look at let's use an example of Sherlock Holmes, and there's a crime, a murder, right? And you in that story, you may have been the victim. Okay, you don't go back there and step into the role of the victim. you go back to the scene of the crime, let's say, as the detective, to look at what happened, see what you missed, see it from a different perspective, and do it with an emotional detachment, or not even detachment, but you release the emotion. You're not letting it ride you again. You're expressing the emotion out so you can get all the wisdom from that event, rather than just go over it again and again and again, because that's what I think they mean by when they say don't go into it again. But I think there's a lot of value in revisiting it, and from a third person, let's say, from a little bit of detachment, and observing it in a way that perhaps has new associations, new frames, new perceptions around the event. It's like that comment needed to breathe. Might have lost Paulina for a second there. Let's have a look at some comments here while we wait for her to come back. Find the wisdom in the experience of the lesson. Perfectly said. It's a nice soundbite for people to remember. Here she comes. There we go. You're back.
Go. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Talking about shadow work and glitches on the matrix.
That's it. That's when you know you're making ground, is when everything starts to glitch and things don't work out, and simple little things that used to work no problem start to break, and glasses smash in the next room. If you're at a restaurant, you're having a talk, you're right in depth, and a glass breaks. That's when you know you're onto it. There's always the resistance right before the edge of the breakthrough, I've found.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So,
yeah.
I wonder if any of our viewers have a question.
Yeah.
Let's see. While we're waiting for people to jump in, oh, by the way, guys, you can get on to and join the screen with us and have a chat if you like, just by using the link in the comments. If you're on Facebook, you can use that one. If you're on YouTube, it's the same one. Doesn't really matter. All leads to the green room here, and I'll see you pop up, and we can add you to the screen. So what should we talk about now, Paulina, in the context of shadow work, now that we've said all that?
How do you start doing shadow work?
Brilliant. That's a good question. I'll let you lead this one.
I'll try to illustrate better. As I said before, when you get stuck, when you are, living your life, and you suddenly get stuck in every single piece of your life, that's an indicator where telling you that something needs to be worked. And for example, I've noticed also that family patterns, indoctrinations, they are beautiful things to work. It's painful as hell. Because you are disrupting yourself from all the generational stuff that you've been carrying for ages, you become alienated from your family because you start to stop resonating with their frequency, and they start to see you as another person, like, who the hell are you, and where's my, in my case, where's my daughter, why do you acting like that when in the past you didn't say a word, for example.
Why are you speaking up now? It wasn't a problem before. You've changed.
Yes.
Sound familiar? Yeah. It's almost typical, isn't it?
Yeah, and imagine being in a family mostly raised by Catholics and some heavy Catholics, and now being more spiritual than religious. You name it. It's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful.
Beautiful thing.
There's a question that just came up here. It says, do you have any tips for when you hit a roadblock? How do you move through it?
Well, I found that journaling or meditating, even if you are not a meditator, like, just sit with yourself, and you start to identify these feelings. You know that you're in the roadblock. You need to find to identify the feelings that pops up.
You track them.
Tracking your feelings and start to going down the rabbit hole, like, why am I acting like this? Or, for example, in my case, I have to do a lot of generational tracking, like, why this is pattern keep showing up. And I've been, if I don't have my grandparents now, but if I ask my parents, why did my grandmother or my grandfather behaved like this, and they tell you because they were raised like this, and their parents were raised like that, and you start to kind of becoming an archaeologist of your own generational patterns. So yeah,
it's like I relate it to like a detective or a hacker or you have to investigate. You have to, like, I like the archaeologist. That's beautiful because it presupposes going back in time, like perhaps many generations, to find out where the cause of all this happened.
And maybe, and
that's
mostly
interesting because
you can go all the way back to the beginning, but you get the idea. For at least for how long it's been running through the family. So
you get the generalized patterns, don't you? Because sometimes it's not even about the event. It's just the pattern that I was going to say precedes, but it's not the word, that perpetuates after the event.
Yeah, and
a lot of those.
Go ahead.
So I was just going to say, a lot of those patterns are built around social pressures, social constructs. That's why you'll find, you would have seen this, I'm sure, when people are coming into shadow work, and they talk to you about it, you know, they're like, oh, my family's alienating me. My friends, I'm not friends with my friends anymore. My friends that used to be my friends are now criticizing me for my choices that I'm making and the new people I'm hanging out with. And so there's all these similar patterns that take place. The content is different, but the context is the same. And you know, it's almost laughable when you've been through the cycle a few times, because you can go, oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah, you're doing great. You know, you're right on track. And people, what are you talking about? You know, this is the worst thing ever. It's like, no, you're actually right in the middle of it now. You just got to finish it off, and you'll be in a new future, a new pattern altogether.
Exactly. And if we keep showing, even though if you thought you have overcome that, if you keep showing, it's telling you that there's another layer that must be released.
Yeah. It's almost like an unhooking, you know, taking these hooks out of you that keep you, you know, on the same track from your past or your generational curses, let's say. You know, I once heard a curse is an unconscious program that has no end date.
Until
so in other words, if you don't do something about it, it's going to keep going until you do. It ends with me, yeah. The buck stops here.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. You have to sit with it, and you have to acknowledge, not to judge, because also we start to go to that part, and you know, this their ego or this mindset that, oh, that's why I'm like that, and you can kind of start to justify yourself. And that's not entirely shadow work. You have to be there, as you said before, as an observer, as not entirely detached from it, but having compassion with yourself, and in that case also with all the people involved.
One of the to answer, going back to this question here, one of the things that I found works really well when you hit the roadblock is that you're often presented with two options. One, if I, you know, to get out of this, I'm going to have to take a loss somehow. I'm going to have to give something up, maybe a relationship, or I'm going to have to pay out money, or I'm going to have to leave a group, or I'm going to have to, whatever it is. There's a cost to leaving that pattern behind. And then on the other side is like, if everything goes completely well and you're able to release everything, you're going to have this massive windfall on the other end. If you can get okay with either or, and that you'll be all right whatever happens, as long as you release the pattern. Because one thing I've found is when I get into this one over here, it's like, this is going to cost me to move on. You know, I can get very upset and agitated and indignant, like, how dare they make me pay to leave this terrible pattern, you know? But if you can just go, all right, well, that's the cost. That's the price of me becoming more of who I am. I'm willing to pay that and take that loss if it means that I can move towards this eventually. You know, you might not be able to jump straight over here, but you may have to, you know, pay the ferryman. If you can be okay with that, then I think that frees up other potentials that you can tune into as well.
Yeah, and another thing that I found really helpful is that you can't change immediately, because it's a lot of things to take, and you will be panicked by it, and in the end you won't like to do it. And what I've found really helpful is doing little changes. Like, okay, I have this now. I have identified where it comes from, and now what's next? I cannot be, from here to there immediately. I can't.
It's too big a jump. Yeah.
Even if you have this sort of leap of faith, you can't. You have to take smaller steps, and for example, let's start with, okay, you identify your block. What emotions are the ones that are coming up to the surface? If you can get to the thought or to the pattern that started, that's a huge breakthrough. But now what's next?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, a lot of people were like, "Oh, if only I could get through this pattern, then everything would be fine." But even if it did fall away instantly and you're in that new potential future, there's still a lot of adjustment to stay in that future. Have you found that?
Yeah, like you can't build a new self without breaking the old foundations. You have to start with new foundations. And sometimes you have to break yourself, kind of become another self, like being the old in the past. It's a disruptive process, because the things that you used to do and the things that you used to think, they're not resonating with this new person that you are becoming, and also that I think that is scary, and because you are so used to the old ways that how can I jump into the new, because I don't know how to be this new person, but I don't want to be the way I was.
Yeah. There's that transition time to become acclimatized to the new self. Because I've been in situations where I've done the shadow work and cleared certain programs, and then almost immediately, like the moment it happens, opportunities from the new way of being present themselves. And I'm like, whoa, I'm not ready to even accept this yet. I just got here. Like, give me a break.
Exactly. Yes, it's exactly like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it can take a bit out of you, that whole process. It's like if you ever traveled on a plane for, 10, 20 hours, when you get off, it's like, yeah, I'm in the holiday destination now, but I'm exhausted. I needed time to adjust to the new timeline. I need time to rest. The body needs time to adjust, and then, then we can go to the beach, sort of thing.
And also it goes also to the physical body as well, because as your mind starts to change and you feel it, you feel that click in your mind, and your energy starts to change, and your physical body starts to show different and behave different, and it starts to being intolerant to some foods, and you start to have cravings for another food that you thought you in your life craving for. So yes, it's interesting. It's a wonderful experience, a wonderful transformation, but I think it's not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes a level of commitment to see the process through. I see a lot of people are willing to approach and to start it, but to see it all the way through requires a bit of endurance and a dedication, a commitment, what's the word? I'm trying to think. It's like a religious word where you give yourself over to the process. You surrender to the process.
That's the word.
Until it's finished. Yeah. Because there is a lot of discomfort in it, and that the comment that just came up, I found the pain is sometimes the cure. Through darkness is light, it was said. So yeah, feeling your way through. And a good illustration of this that works for me is when you said to sit with it and to be with it, track it, observe. Well, it's like, what does that mean? Well, for me, it's like when something's coming up, if I can catch myself, then usually what it is some kind of pain wants to be felt. And the mind is like, no, I don't want to feel that. We're not ready to feel that. We're not strong enough. We're not good enough. We're not deserving enough to have what's on the other side, whatever the programming is. It's there to protect you from feeling pain. We compartmentalize. We'll feel the pain later. So no, we're going to feel the pain now. Well, as much as we can, to whatever degree we can now. And the rest, we might have to come back to. But if we can, we're going to feel our way through the pain until there's no more pain to be felt. It's like the tank of pain is empty. It's been expressed.
Yes, you have to be in that mourning process, because after all, it's a loss. And you have to sit with it. It won't be nice. Your mind, as you said, will try to protect you, and also you talk with a particular thing, unworthiness. That is a major thing to work on, shadow work. I think that's a lot of people have this unworthiness issues and self-love and self-esteem over the floor, and all of this kind of involves everything. But yes, you have to feel it.
It's a key. It's a keystone, isn't it?
Yeah. And yes, you have to be gentle with yourself, compassionate with yourself, but you have to be willing to be in this period of mourning, of loss, on feeling the uncomfortable feelings, and not to stay there, because you can remain there for a longer period of time. And that's not the case, because you're going back to the beginning. The thing is that you have to feel it to release it.
release them.
Yes. Yeah. An image that comes to mind is being in a sauna. You know, you go through the fire to sweat it out. You don't have to stay there. You can't stay in the sauna forever. You don't want to, because then that's a problem. But once you've had a good sweat, you come out, reassess, and you can always go back in again. But hopefully you've released, that sorrow, that grief and loss, because whether it's an event like losing a loved one or something, or whatever it is, whatever the event is that you're dealing with, there is what needs to be acknowledged is the loss of the old self. There is a dying of the old self. And whether you liked who you are or you didn't like who you are, there's still a grieving process to that, no matter what, because it's who you used to be.
Exactly. And Joseph Campbell's The Hero Journey comes to mind. That in order to become the hero, you have to go through certain steps or phases in your life. Or even on a video game, how do you level up? Facing the bad guy at the end of the level, and if you don't win, you go back and you go again and again until you defeat it and you can level up. It's the same thing. It can be a desperate process as well, because sometimes I've catch myself like, oh no, again this issue, again, why, and but yeah, you kind of go back inside, go within. Oh, that's why. And the more you catch yourself, that's a key word also. You have to catch yourself when you are right there.
Yeah. Yeah, when you see it, you're no longer in it.
Exactly.
And you can do something about it. Yeah, but you have to see it. You have to catch it. You have to catch yourself. Oh, I'm doing it again. The program is running on all on its own.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I catch myself like, oh my God, I'm doing it again, and I like, and at that moment you get stop. Let's center back, rephrase it. What this is teaching me. What do I need to do next?
Yeah. What is happening? What's actually going on? Yeah. Why am I behaving like this? Where did this come from? How long has it been there? Did I choose to behave like this, or did I adopt it from my surroundings, people, places, times, events?
Exactly.
Because there's nothing wrong with these programs. It's just a question of, are you pressing the button, or are the buttons being pressed on you?
Again, it's
these programs are useful.
Yes, it's again.
Sorry, they're useful. They're useful. Sorry, Paulina. Ladies first. My apologies.
It's like, again, are you choosing to be the same, or are you choosing to change it? There's going to be a price to be paid. And you have to be willing and you have to be in this kind of an adventurous, curious mindset, because I've noticed that it is easier if you're in this mindset of curiosity, that instead of the mindset of, oh no, again, what's next, why me, and that victim side, with each, it's not helpful also.
No. And we've all been there. We've all done that. Why me? When's it going to be my turn? Yeah. But yeah, it doesn't help you get through, does it? It's like I was saying to Andy the other day, it's like banging on the television when the reception's bad. It doesn't help you. Yeah.
Yeah. And
It reminds me. Sorry, I keep stepping on your toes,
No,
Paulina.
no.
I'm a bad dancer.
No, go ahead. I'm catching the idea.
I was just going to say one of my favorite quotes by Bruce Lee is, "Everyone wants to learn the way to win, never the way to lose." By learning the way, what did he say? Never the way to lose. By learning the way to lose, you become liberated from it. So for me, it's like when you go into shadow work, not only do you learn how to unhook yourself, but you can also see the patterns in other people and groups, for example, society at large, and you can sort of walk around them. You can avoid them from then on. They don't hook you in, and you don't get entangled in them as much. I was speaking to a friend yesterday, and she's very much on a spiritual practice, and she was saying to me, with all the pressure from social media and the news and people at the moment, she was saying, I've always had this mindset that I'm not going to get the virus and I'm not getting vaccinated. And I'm like, whoa, I get what you're trying to do there, but the orientation of those statements are positive thinking, because underneath there's a fear of getting the virus and having to be vaccinated. And I was thinking, gosh, I wish I could just get in there and rewrite that to say, I'm healthy. I always have been for as long as I can remember. And my immune system is so strong, I don't need to worry about anything out there affecting me.
It's like taking a placebo,
a little
right?
reframe there. Yeah. Yeah.
I was trying to find a word, but I can't. But yeah, it's like taking a placebo, but in the end, it won't have the result that she wants.
Mm. Yeah, because I could see the struggle in her face, that like wrestling with what was actually underneath the fear, trying to like keep it down, almost like the beach ball under the water. It's like, oh yeah, that works for a while until you're exhausted, and then it splashes up and hits you in the face. And the real way to do it is to let the air out of the beach ball. So then it's flat, there's no pressure in it anymore. That's the emotion. You release the emotion. The bladder of the beach ball just sits on the surface. Then you can just pick it up and release it and put it to the side. It's much, much more effective.
Yes, and once you take all the air out, you have the opportunity to fill it with good air. Good emotions, good thoughts, good feelings. that I won't go to that, because there's no good feelings, bad feelings. All feelings are valid
All feelings are valid
because they're there for a reason.
because they are there for a reason.
Like when in this Disney movie,
This
Inside
Disney
Out,
Inside Out
Yeah.
Joy is trying to keep
to keep
the blue character, the sad character,
blue character
there, and secluded.
there.
No, you're touching the
Yeah.
thoughts, and you're making them sad, and no, don't do that. But
Sad.
when they agree that sadness
That
has to be felt, it's when
felt
Riley uh,
right
express their feelings to their parents, and the things
parents
becomes to change.
becomes to change.
That was such a brilliant illustration of that process. And if we go back to that, the whole Happy Land or Funtown crashing, and all the pillars of her personality as a little girl were coming down and crashing. It's like, what's going on? So, well, you can't take that into being a young woman. That's not gonna, those structures, those patterns, those programs, they were great for being a child. They served you well, they protected you, kept you off the road so you didn't get hit by a car, kept you away from the wrong people so you didn't get into too much trouble. But now as you grow up, you need new structures, you need new programs, you need new perceptions and beliefs and values that are going to serve you to where you're going. And like you were saying, it's not so much about good feelings, bad feelings, high frequency, low frequency. It's more like, well, what's going to serve you in context of who you're being, where you want to go, and your environment. And then it doesn't really matter what the technique, the emotion, the frequency is, the personality type. If you need to switch and change and become adaptable to get to where you want to be, or attract yourself to that new way of being, then it doesn't really matter what you need to go through. It's you can just ride it like a roller coaster. Put hands in the air as you're going through. That's the best way you can do it. Enjoy it as much as you can, because when you finally get there and you arrive in heaven, let's say, then there's not much to do. Just sit around and enjoy yourself, I guess. So that's why I think a lot of people create drama when they get to the other side.
Yeah, and
get that rush again.
It's and when you get this sense of adventure and curiosity, things develop faster. The outcomes that you want, the results that you want, they present easier, faster, bigger. And also you have to let go of that sense of wanting to have the control of the whole thing, because that's another thing. You can't have control.
It's too big.
There's this saying in Spanish, like, I will say it in Spanish. It's like, you let go, but it's como gordo en tobogán, like a fat person on a slide. You go, you let go and go.
Yeah, go with it.
Yeah. And another thing, and you can't be a mage, a wizard, a sage, a wise person if you don't know your dark side.
Mm. Yeah. It's like in Fight Club. How can you ever know anything about yourself if you've never had a fight?
Or like the hero journey,
You need to
or
pat yourself on. Mm.
like Gandalf falling through the cave with the Balrog and then becoming Gandalf the White, or Harry Potter first facing a Bogart and then facing the real Dementor and then facing Voldemort.
Mm.
And when he faced Voldemort, he first has to die. So the part of Voldemort that resides in him can be released and be just Harry.
Yeah.
And then face Voldemort to kind of end with that obscure part.
Yeah, that's such a deep metaphor, the hero villain, isn't it? Because I when you stop looking at things of right and wrong, good and bad, and it's all just the one thing playing itself out. I remember I used to watch all the James Bond films, and each new one is a villain with a different, take, different personality, different methods, and each time I watched it, it's like, well, if James Bond went rogue, this villain is what he'd be like at this point in his life. He would be behaving and acting and have the same hatred for authority and all those things. And so like you said right at the beginning of Luke going into the cave and facing Darth Vader, and then he cuts the mask off and he sees his own face. It's like, well, the potential in you is there for that, and you need to face that in yourself. You need to duel with yourself almost in order to learn, where your limits are, where your edges are. And once you defeat that darker side in yourself, let's say once you overcome, once you accept and go beyond,
when you
then
integrate,
that's where you grow. That's where you integrate and you go up to the new level, because now that's not your limit anymore. You're beyond that limit now. It's like you're past that now, if that makes sense. Did I say that right? I wonder. I hope people got that. I'm still working out how to articulate all that.
Yeah, well.
Need to go. It's been a while. Great topic. Thank you, Paulina. Thank you, Brett. Much love. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thanks for the comments. Thanks for staying with us. Yeah.
And
it's
oh my God, I forgot. Too many things in my head. A topic emerges and another, and I forgot. Okay, go ahead.
It's all right. It'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such it's like every topic we come up with in these talks, they're conceptual. So it's like you can go so deep into, they could be series all by themselves just on the one topic. Shadow work, we could talk about this all year. Different aspects, different techniques, different things that are probably going to arise for you when you go into it. You probably would have seen in the group some people that we're connected with in this group here. they're coming right up against their shadow. They're dealing with all these terrible things in their life, and then somehow they manage to get through, and boom, they're living in a new house, they're in a new place, they've got a new friends, they've got, you know, a new job, they've got making money all over the place, and they're having this lifestyle, and, you know, it's like they can't even believe it. They're like, I can't believe by dealing with my shadow, and going through that hell, which seemed like it would never end, now I've got all this stuff just rushed into my life and just fell in my lap almost. It's like, well, it didn't fall in your lap. You worked to make space so that would be able to enter. And because before, everything you were being was keeping it at bay, you know.
Yeah, it's like
a fascinating topic.
Yeah, it's
like you've held yourself for so long, and you've keep, you know, manifesting and thought about it and doing an intention and meditated, and all it's there, but everything that you want is waiting for you to break that dam and release all, you know, that dark water, so that can fill the place.
Yeah, the great flood.
The great flood.
Yeah.
The great flood.
And also another technique may be mirror work.
Okay, tell us about that.
That one was a big one for me, because years ago, when the big transformation came, was because of a breakup, heartbreak. So I was crushed. I can't even.
You're the only
myself.
one on the planet that's ever been through this, by the way.
I know.
Paulina. No one else has had this happen to them ever. Just you.
Yeah, I know, but what the point is that I can't even look myself in the mirror. You know, I was, you know, and mirror work is actually facing yourself, looking yourself to the eyes. And if you are not doing the work, you can't stand your own look.
Reflection.
Yeah. You start to look away, or and so mirror work it's something that Louise Hay developed. There's a book of her about mirror work and the process to go. But basically is planting yourself in front of a mirror. Look yourself right in the eye. Look past all this. Try to go all the way to your core, to your soul, and start to bring all this the stuff that is stuck back to surface. And also it's a disruptive process. Is a lot of forgiveness involved, a lot of compassion involved, a lot of patience. And you need to have some strength to do it. But also it helps a lot.
I can almost hear people that are going to watch this and go, I'm scared of getting stuck in a dark place while looking at my reflection. You know, is it just a matter of going through again? You know, do you keep going through until you're at the other end, or have you ever come up against yourself like that?
Yes, it's a bit tough because in my perspective, I had to look at myself and see myself broken
Mm,
to find myself. And starting from there, like, okay, I'm here. I have this issue. My self-love is buried over there somewhere. My self-esteem is almost inexistent. Who am I? And then you kind of start to work on that. And also, if you can do it alone, you need the help of a friend or even a professional.
yeah, support system for sure.
That's a big one too. You need a support system to help you go through, because you can't do it with the people that are judging you, criticizing you, or wanting you unconsciously wanting you to keep you in the same spot.
Yeah.
So it's a whole of a process, because you start working on yourself. Some relationship change, family patterns break, and you start bouncing between all the new. You start to meet new people. The right tools start to come to you. You know, the book that you find on the shelf, or the recommendation, even a song that keeps popping in your head every day, every time, an article that you encounter, if another conversation in a table next to you on the restaurant that you're eating, so yeah, those when you make the decision to do it, things start to arrive, to come to your place, to the things that you need start to pop up.
Yeah, it's like you get direct communication with life that it's supporting you, although it's very subtle and no one else sees it. And if you wanted to, you could dismiss it and go, oh, it's just silly, rah, rah, rah. But if you really tune into that subtleness, there's something encouraging you to come out of whatever that is, to go, look, there's more to you than what you think. Listen to this conversation, the people next to you.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about your situation, even though they don't even know you're listening. That song, listen to the lyrics. That song is, I put that idea in that person's head so you could hear it now at this particular time in your life to remind you. Look at this new friend that over here that everyone doesn't like, that you have a great time with. Don't worry about what they say. They don't understand what you're trying to do here. It's almost like when you hit rock bottom, let's say, you have solid foundation to build anything you like, and know that you can rely and depend on yourself when you've built yourself to whatever shape and capacity you want. It reminds me of the scene in Watchmen where Dr. Manhattan, and before he becomes Dr. Manhattan, he gets blasted into a million atoms, you know, and what's the first thing he learns is how to rebuild himself. It's the first ability was to rebuild his body, rebuild himself. And, you know, like we said earlier, shadow work it's a death, you know, it's a dying of an old self. And sometimes you're happy for your old self to die because maybe you didn't like yourself that much. And other times you're really sad because you did like and love yourself and you were treated so poorly. And, you know, you have to reface the world that did that. And it's like, well, why? Why did this happen to me? You know, and whatever the thoughts and voices say, when you come out the other end, the answer I've always gotten is no matter who or what you think you are, you're so much more than that. And this is going to show you that when we strip away who you think you were and, you know, who you were being, once you find your center again, once you find the stability and you start to rebuild yourself, you will see that you were much more than you were much more than that. You were always much more than that. And so this mind virus of not being worthy is just an illusion. You know, it was never real ever. It was never real. Somehow you got tricked. You know, and I think once you've overcome that one, you know, then the world opens up in all sorts of mysterious and wonderful ways to you.
Exactly. You said the right words. You shed all the parts that no longer serve you. You find your center, you find your core, you find your authentic self. And from there, the possibilities are endless.
Yep. Yep.
And also using another film,
Beautiful.
The Dark Phoenix, you know, Jean Grey doubting, having doubts about herself, feeling small, feeling fear about her own power. And once she released it, she's one of the most powerful mutants in the world.
Yeah. Ever. Yeah. Yeah. Blasted apocalypse into pieces. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's beautiful, beautiful metaphor because, gosh, you know, what we're doing is we're pulling away our limitations. We're pulling away our weaknesses. You know, we're pulling away the boundaries that other people place on us. And like I was saying earlier, the slippery slope is that when you discover your power, you know, it's very easy to seek vengeance, you know, to ask to go for revenge. It's so easy because you can say, oh, I was so hard done by, you know. But if you can go beyond that and go, well, you know, look, it's not even relevant anymore because look at all of the things that I have at my disposal now. You know, it's not even important. It's like someone rips you off money and then you win. You get the keys to the vault, you know. It's like, do you really go get revenge? Do you use your money to go get revenge on that person who ripped you off? It doesn't even, it's meaningless. It's no point anymore.
Or as Dumbledore says, you know, when it comes the time when you have to choose between what it is easy and what it's right.
Mm.
And yeah, in the end, the rewards that you have by doing shadow work are way better than you imagined. I forgot again. Oh my god.
So good. We're pushing so far out to the edge here. This is awesome.
The things that they used to be limiting, they become your tools, becomes your fuel to keep going. And another thing is by doing your shadow work, you can drag people to do their own shadow work. You can't, hey, you have to do it. You are on time to do it. No, it's an individual process. But as you are evolving, as you are becoming more enlightened, you become a beacon of light, and you become an example for others to do the same. And that for me is such a reward, and it's being there at service. It's such a rewarding and such a thrilling experience that, of course, I will gladly help you to go through that if you need me to.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, there's a real misconception around it, is that you need to do it all by yourself in a cave somewhere and not affect anyone while you're doing it. And I think that's part of the program that tries to get you to not do it, to not engage in it, because it wants to keep itself going. I remember hearing a story about a guy who falls in a well, and he's yelling out, help, 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 I need to get out of the well. And his friend comes along and sticks his head over and says, oh, you fell down the well. Yeah, get me the hell out of here. Go get a ladder, get a rope or whatever. He looks around, there's no ladder, there's no rope. So he jumps in the well and he's like, what are you doing? Now there's two of us in the well. Now we're never going to get out of here. We're going to die. Going to be skeletons here in the bottom of the well. Then the third person going to come along and see two skeletons. What happened here? They're going to think all sorts of things. He says, oh, relax, calm down. He said, I fell in here last week. I'll show you where the footholds are. We'll just climb out. Just follow me out. It's really simple. It's not as bad as you think.
Exactly.
And
also,
and so these
some work, yes, you need to do by yourself, a little bit secluded. But you don't have to be entirely isolated, because once you get out, the same as going into a workshop, as one of your previous talks, now what? No? So it's about finding a balance of working on yourself, being empathetic with yourself, gentle with yourself, and being an observer, and being this person who watches how your life is unfolding and what are the changes, which friendships are no longer staying, which families are you going to finally put that boundary
finally put that boundary.
All sorts, that kind of stuff.
That kind of stuff.
Mm. Yeah, I found with family, which is, probably the hardest one, one of the frames which I found really useful is to you let go of in my case, the father son, mother son relationship. Let go of that, being, child adult. Let go of that pattern to become adult relationship. So it's like, just because you're my father, just because you're my mother, doesn't mean you get a pass. You have to treat me in the same way I hold other adults and people to treat me as well. And if you can't do that, then perhaps you're choosing not to have a relationship with me on my terms, And I don't think my terms are very unreasonable. I think I've worked on my terms to be able to give as many people access to me who can hold me at a level of respect that I require, from you. And just because you're family doesn't mean you get to override those rules. And so, if the love is really there, which it almost always is from parents, they will go, okay, well, all right, maybe I need to do a little bit of work on me to be able to, have our relationship take its new form and its new role, because there's still a lot of life left.
Yeah, and once you get there, also, you find that, the past no longer affects you, that those familiar issues don't affect you anymore. And you have a better understanding of your parents, of your siblings, of your relatives.
Mm.
And you have a more balanced relationship, and everything falls into place.
Yeah. And, and you look, the other side is, because we can always say, it's their fault. And, but it's like, well, in the dynamic of child adult, father son, mother son relationship, in my case, is that, as kids, we project a certain persona onto our parents. And we think, they should, that's who they are. And when they don't reflect that, it's like, they're betraying me, So, well, maybe that's not who they really are. And as an adult, seeing them as an adult, now you know who they actually are. They have their flaws, they have their fears, they have their own doubts and insecurities, their own shadows they're dealing with or not dealing with. And, then you can have compassion, you can have understanding, just now, soon to be a father and going through that whole process. It's like, I kind of now know what my dad was going through at this time when they were expecting me. I kind of get that now, whereas before I had no idea what that was like. Could only imagine what it might be like. And so, I'm sure parenthood is going to teach me a lot about my parents that I never knew about. So, the adult to adult relationship, although yes, your parents have to treat you right, you also have to let your parents off the hook a little bit too, in order to reconnect with them in a new way,
That's
if
the
that's
word.
what you choose to do or not.
That's the word.
And that's also valid if you choose to reconnect or not.
Yeah, and you have every right to, like we do a lot of social work. We deal with a lot of kids who have been badly traumatized by parents that should never have any contact with them ever again, or any children ever. And I won't go into what I think some of those people deserve, because that's just my attachment to that situation. But, sometimes it is the healthy choice is to say, no, you don't get access to me anymore. My life is far better without your presence than it is with it, but that's something that as an adult you get to choose. That's your right now as an adult to choose that, to make those rules. And sometimes it's a hard no, sometimes it's a yes, I definitely want you back in my life, and other times it's if you can match the level and you can respect the boundaries, then yes, you can come in like a bouncer at the door. Yeah, you can come in if you behave in appropriate ways like everyone else is expected to. And if you can't, well, you don't get in. These are all choices you get to make once you've decided who you're going to be.
And yes, and that's another topic we can talk about, because that's a big one too. But yeah, and going back a little bit to shadow work. If you do it, you become a better adult, a better person, and you can see the people that match your new level of awareness. You can see the ones you left a little bit behind. You can see where they are at and what they need to work on. And sometimes you say like, ooh, he will need a big one. But yeah, everything unfolds as you keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I just no, my mind, I just stopped for a while, and so yeah, I think
well, we've covered a lot of ground.
I think so. Yeah, maybe
Touched on a lot of stuff.
some other stuff may come up later, but the main thing, I think we cover it.
Mm. Yeah, well, having said that, maybe we wrap up for now and we get you back on. This maybe next week or soon, whenever we can, and we can dive in again, the same topic, or we can explore something else.
Yeah,
What
or
do you
maybe
think?
if the people watching can come up with suggestions, please let us know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think after today's talk on shadow work and people, shedding their insecurities about being on screen or being seen or asking questions that maybe they think are silly. There's no silly questions, only, what is it? No stupid questions, only stupid answers. So, I think hopefully this has cracked the dam, and more people will be able to interact a bit, and we can flesh things out a little bit more.
Or maybe talk about a little bit more on techniques, or I don't know,
Yeah,
books, or
I think definitely revisiting for techniques for sure.
sure. And I will glad to jump in.
You would? You like to come back?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
know,
good.
It's
good.
not easy for me, but I think it's necessary.
Well, you know what? I couldn't tell it wasn't easy for you. It looked like you were cool, calm, and collected
Yeah.
the whole time.
Not quite.
Not
But-
quite. Well, no,
but-
no one could tell.
But I managed myself to do it.
I think you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Paulina. All right, so we'll finish up there for now. Unless there's anything else you wanted to say. Oh, by the way, you've got your own Facebook group. What's it called?
I forgot to give you the links, but the group is introvert, because I'm working.
Introvert. Yeah.
I'm working on this part of. There's a lot of introverts that confuse being an introvert with depression and being a hermit, and we are not that social people, yes, but we can do it. But by any means, you don't have to be isolated all the time and be depressive, and yeah. So that's my area that I'm working on. And also, the Facebook page is an introvert's journey without the last Y. And I'm working on a blog that hopefully soon will be launched.
Well, we'll definitely push some links through to everybody for you. For those of you that you don't know, I'm sure you've seen Paulina's posts throughout the group for however long, going back forever now, feels like, which is amazing. So this is Paulina. This is the one giving us all these awesome memes and making us laugh, and tricking me into thinking I'm getting these posts from somewhere else and they're already on the page. It's like, oh, I have to delete that because I don't want to be that guy that reposts stuff that's already in there. So yeah, and oh, by the way, Paulina's been doing some amazing work behind the scenes for us, helping us promote across platforms and social media marketing strategy. Oh, it's just all the clips that you're seeing, Paulina's editing those together for us. So thank you so much, Paulina, for your help, for carrying that weight. It's been amazing.
Thank you, and thank you for since I'm on this group, I found an amazing group, an amazing tribe, and an amazing leader. So yeah, it's the two-way around. So yeah, and I'm always used to be backstage, but now I think it's time to throw myself out.
Yeah, definitely. I know how that feels. You're behind the scenes for so long, and there comes a point where it's like, all right, it's time to get on stage now. Time to get in front of the microphone.
Yeah.
And,
talking about doing shadow work, this is a big shadow work for me. Big.
Well, there you go. It doesn't have to be, doing firewalks. It can just be getting on the screen and having a chat. You just never know. Well, I'm sure, now that this is out of the way, Paulina, we're going to see you, popping up all over the place, speaking on the circuit, and also who knows what's going to happen now.
One step at a time, yes, because
one step at a time.
An introvert can deal with with so much at the same time. No, one step at a time, please. Let's keep it calm,
Let's keep it
on our own
calm.
pace. Let's not rush. It's no of a rush, please. Okay. But yeah, but
No, I'm just poking you. I'm just poking you a little bit.
yeah, I know that, and yeah. I'm used to that, but I'm also like, a cat. Like, stop teasing me. I will do it when I want to.
Yeah, no rush. In your own time, in your own way. That's how it works. Yeah, and on
Yeah,
your
but-
terms.
Yeah,
That's how shadow works.
exactly. And there comes a time when you do the work and you feel that confidence to throw yourself out.
Yeah, when you're ready, you're ready. Yeah.
But again, it's scary, but it's more the thrill than the excitement than the fear.
Yeah. And it's never as bad as you think it is it?
That's true.
Like
That's true.
now that we're an hour, an hour plus in, an hour before ago when before you got on the screen here, I bet you your brain was going all over the place, and now it's probably not doing that anymore.
Well, another.
Or maybe it's doing it in a whole different way.
Yeah, well, the mind of an introvert never stops, but it's a bit more focused than it was before. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like as soon as you step through that threshold, it gets easier. Every time you do it, it gets easier.
Yeah. Practice makes perfect.
Like riding a bike. Practice makes perfect. Well said. All right. Well, with that said, we'll wrap up there. I'll let you off the hook now, Paulina. Actually, no, let's stay on for another half an hour.
Don't push it.
No, I'm joking. We'll wrap up there. We'll let you off the hook, and hope to have you back real soon. Hopefully, maybe if we can continue doing the same time slot, if that works for you. We'll talk about that later, you and I, offline. And thank you so much for coming on. And shadow work for someone who's an introvert, to talk about shadow work in your first video with me, that's like, hats off to you. That's a big topic to wrestle with, take on. Oh, look, we've got comments. Hang on, let's share these. Just catching the tail end of you two. Will definitely have to watch the replay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Dania.
you. Dania. Much love. We'll have to get you up here too, Dania.
Yes.
Week, maybe have a chat. Yeah. See if we can get you on and share the screen with us. That'll be good. Anyway, thanks again, Paulina. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for all the love. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.